The Domas family built a fortune by creating board games. But behind their wealth lies a deadly family tradition that has claimed innocent lives for generations. An injured man desperately runs through the family mansion as two young boys race through the hallways. One of them, Daniel, quickly hides his little brother inside a closet. The wounded man begs Daniel to help him escape the house. Instead, Daniel calls for his family. Within seconds, several armed family members surround the injured man. A bride wearing a wedding dress screams for her wounded husband, Charles, while Charles desperately calls out to his wife, Helen. But Helen's family refuses to let them reach each other. They shoot Charles with another arrow, drag him into a room, and lock him inside. 30 years later, another wedding takes place inside the very same mansion. Grace arrives at the Domas estate on the happiest night of her life, completely unaware that her wedding night is about to turn into the worst nightmare she could ever imagine. Grace is getting ready for the wedding when Alex walks into the room to check on her. He tells her that his family and all the guests are waiting downstairs. Alex then gives her one last chance to run away with him and avoid officially becoming a member of the Domas family, the family behind the famous board game empire. However, Grace tells him that she loves him and that she will love his family because of him. It quickly becomes clear that the Domas family is rather strange. None of them truly accepts Grace because they believe she is only after Alex's money. The wedding ceremony is completed without any problems. After they return to their room, and just before they can spend any time together, Grace notices Helen, Alex's aunt, standing before them. Helen tells Alex that there is no time because the entire family is waiting downstairs. Helen then leaves through a hidden servant's door inside the room. Alex explains that it is part of a network of servant passages that runs throughout the entire mansion. Grace asks who is waiting for them. Alex explains that it is a family tradition. Whenever a new person joins the Domas family, everyone gathers to play a game. The game is chosen by a mysterious box that selects one card from many different cards placed inside it. All of those games were created by the Domas family, and to them, this tradition is even more important than the wedding itself. Alex leaves Grace to finish getting ready and goes downstairs to meet his father, Tony. Tony asks him what he would do if Grace happened to draw the most dangerous card. Alex says nothing. Grace then joins the rest of the family inside the music room, where she meets her mother-in-law, Becky, who thanks her for bringing Alex back to the family after he had cut ties with them for years. Soon afterward, Emily, Alex's sister, arrives with her husband, Fitch, and the entire family gathers around a large gaming table. Tony begins telling the story of their ancestor, Victor. He explains that Victor opened a playing card shop during the war, and his business became successful. One day, while traveling by ship, Victor met a mysterious man named Labelle. The two spent hours playing cards together until Labelle offered Victor a challenge. He told him that if he succeeded, he would finance any business Victor wanted. Labelle handed him a locked box, and the challenge was to open it before the ship reached the harbor. Victor managed to solve the puzzle and open the box. As promised, Labelle financed Victor's first board game company, allowing the Domas family to become one of the richest families in the world. Since that day, it has become a family tradition that every new member must allow the box to choose a card that determines which game they will play. Tony hands the box to Grace. The box selects hide and seek. Both Daniel and Alex are immediately shocked because it is the most dangerous game the box can choose. It is the exact same game that Charles, Helen's husband, played 30 years earlier. Since Charles is no longer with them, it is clear that he died. Tony tells Grace that she may hide anywhere inside the mansion. The family will search for her until sunrise. If they fail to find her before then, she wins the game. He also explains that all of the security cameras will be turned off so the family will not have an advantage over her. In addition, every door in the mansion will lock automatically. The family will count from 1 to 100 before beginning the hunt. Then Grace leaves to hide. Meanwhile, the rest of the family begins preparing the weapons, hanging on the walls, getting ready to hunt Grace. Grace hides inside the food dumbwaiter and waits patiently, hoping to win the game. After a while, she becomes bored and decides to return to her room. Suddenly, Alex pulls her inside the room and quickly warns her about what is really happening within his family. Before he can explain everything, Georgie's nanny, who is looking for him, walks into the room. Alex and Grace immediately hide from her. As the nanny is leaving the room, Emily fires her pistol and shoots her in the face, killing her instantly because she mistakes her for Grace. Emily calls for her father to come and see what she has done. Tony tells her that she should have shot Grace in the body instead of the face because they need her alive for the ritual they must perform later. The family quickly removes the body from the room. Alex then gets up and takes Grace with him. He tells her that she drew the only dangerous card in the entire deck, hide and seek. He explains that his family must kill her before sunrise. Otherwise, LaBelle's curse will fall upon all of them and kill them. He also tells her that the curse would have killed her as well if she had married him but refused to play the game. According to him, the same thing happened to his great-uncle and his wife, as well as to his cousin, who died for the same reason. Alex tells Grace to stay inside the servant passages until she reaches the kitchen. Meanwhile, he will unlock the doors so she can escape. However, Grace takes the wrong door and accidentally leaves the passage. She suddenly finds herself trapped between Helen and Tony on one side and Emily on the other. She repeatedly fires her pistol toward Grace, but misses every shot. Ironically, Emily's terrible aim gives Grace the chance to escape before anyone can catch her. While running away, Grace notices Daniel coming out of a nearby servant passage. He looks at her and tells her that he only came to get something to drink. Then he quietly gives her 10 seconds to run. After waiting for a few moments, he pretends that he has just spotted her. A few seconds later, he calls the rest of the family and tells them that he saw Grace there, but she managed to escape. Emily then arrives crying because she has lost her pistol and no longer has a weapon. Fitch hands her his crossbow so she can use it instead. While they are talking, the second maid walks in to tell them where Grace is hiding. Before she can finish speaking, Emily accidentally fires an arrow. Emily starts crying again because, as she says, she only ever manages to kill maids. After that, everyone decides to turn the security cameras back on because time is running out, and Grace must die before sunrise. Meanwhile, Grace reaches the music room. She takes one of the weapons hanging on the wall to defend herself. Then she heads toward the kitchen, just as Alex instructed. However, she finds the butler there. She quickly hides before he notices her. At the same time, Alex manages to restore the security system, turn the lights back on, and unlock the mansion's doors so Grace can escape. Unfortunately, the butler is standing right in front of the exit. Grace points her weapon at him and pulls the trigger. Nothing happens. The butler calmly tells her that the gun is loaded with blank ammunition for display purposes only. Grace immediately grabs a teapot and hits him with it. Then she runs out of the kitchen before he can catch her. Meanwhile, Tony enters the security room and discovers that Alex was trying to help Grace escape from the mansion. He strikes Alex on the head, takes him to his bedroom, and ties him to the bed so he cannot escape. The family talks about how Alex was the only one who had always been different from the rest of them. They say that Grace was the one who brought him back to the family, that he loves her deeply, and that he would have done anything for her. That is why they insist that he must remain tied up. At that moment, Grace overhears everything because she is hiding on the roof of the mansion. She climbs down into the garden and keeps running until she hides inside the stable. There, she sees Georgie holding a flashlight and searching for her. At first, she thinks she has nothing to fear from him. However, he turns out to be just as disturbed as the rest of his family. He fires at Grace and shoots her in the hand. Grace fights back, knocks Georgie unconscious, and bends down to take his flashlight. Then she suddenly notices something and quickly steps backward. She finds herself inside the stable's basement, which the family has turned into a burial place for everyone who has been killed in the mansion. There, Grace discovers the body of Charles, Helen's husband, who was killed 30 years earlier. Using only one hand, she struggles to climb the broken ladder in front of her. After a great deal of effort, she finally reaches the top. She tears off a piece of her wedding dress and wraps it around her injured hand. Then she runs toward the mansion's outer wall, hoping to escape. However, Charity notices her. She immediately alerts everyone in the mansion that Grace has escaped toward the woods. The butler chases after Grace while keeping the family updated over the phone. Eventually, he catches up to her and tries to grab her. Grace scratches his face and manages to escape once again. She steals his car and drives away. Then she calls the vehicle's customer service, hoping they will contact the police. Instead, the representative tells her that their system shows the vehicle has been reported as stolen, so they are required to disable it remotely. The engine immediately shuts down. Grace remains inside the car, hoping the police will arrive. Suddenly, the butler appears beside the vehicle. He smashes the window, shoots Grace with a tranquilizer dart, and places her in the back seat. Then he calls Tony to tell him that he has finally captured Grace and is bringing her back to the mansion. He is extremely pleased with himself. A short time later, Grace wakes up from the tranquilizer. She begins to attack the butler. Their fight causes the car to flip over. The butler is knocked unconscious. Grace regains consciousness and tries to crawl out of the overturned vehicle. However, she finds Daniel standing in front of her. Knowing that Tony and the rest of the family are watching him, Daniel strikes Grace with his rifle to knock her out and takes her back to the mansion. Back at the mansion, the family begins preparing the ritual to sacrifice Grace. Everyone is dressed in ceremonial clothing. Grace is tied up in front of them. The family drinks a special beverage as part of the ritual. Daniel pretends to drink with them. Moments later, everyone suddenly collapses to the floor. It turns out that Daniel secretly put poison into their drinks to make them lose consciousness temporarily. He quickly unties Grace so she can escape. However, Charity, Daniel's wife, chases after them. She points her gun at Daniel and orders him to let Grace go because the family must sacrifice her. Daniel refuses. Charity shoots him, killing him. Grace rushes toward Charity, attacks her, and manages to escape. At the same time, Alex manages to free himself from the room where he was tied up. Tony then tries to stop Grace from leaving. She grabs the nearby flashlight and strikes him with it. Afterward, she throws the flashlight away. It lands in the curtains. Grace then finds Becky standing in front of her. Becky attacks her and tells her that she has to die in order to save the family. She admits that although she cares about Grace, she loves her children and her husband even more. Grace manages to reach the game box. She grabs it and repeatedly strikes Becky with it until Becky dies. A moment later, Alex arrives and sees that Grace has killed his mother. Then he says that he will never allow the rest of his family to perish because of a woman like her. He ties Grace up once again. Then he calls the rest of the family so they can kill her and complete the sacrifice before sunrise. Helen hands a ceremonial knife to Alex so he can kill Grace, but instead of stabbing her in the heart, Grace manages to break free. As she breaks free, Alex stabs her in the shoulder. At that exact moment, the sun rises. Every member of the family suddenly begins to suffer. They wait for LaBelle's punishment to fall upon them. Then, one by one, the members of the Domas family explode as the curse claims them for failing to kill Grace before sunrise. Grace then notices the ghost of LaBelle sitting calmly in a chair. She realizes that everything the family had told her was true. Grace walks out of the mansion as it burns behind her. Every member of the Domas family is dead. She sits on the front steps of the mansion, and she becomes the sole heir to the entire Domas fortune. And that's the end of today's movie. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more movie recaps. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.